Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ask the Expert segment. Today we have Samantha Morton from the Humane Society of the United States. She's our Indiana State Director, and we're so glad to have her here today. She's going to talk with us a little bit about pet advocacy and how pet families can get involved with some of the issues across our state. So welcome, Sam. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jenny. Thanks so much for inviting me to speak today. I'm really glad to be here and talk a little bit about pet advocacy.
Awesome. So if you could share with us a little information about you and your role, and then your role with the Humane Society of the United States and the state of Indiana.
Absolutely. Well, yes, I'm happy to. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Humane Society of the United States is the nation's most effective animal protection organization. And we really work to fight the big fights to end suffering for all animals. So that does encompass companion animals, but we also work on issues that relate to wildlife, ending animal testing, stopping trophy hunting, and helping farm animals as well. So companion animals is a big part of what we do, but we also tackle some of these other areas. As Indiana State Director, I primarily work on lobbying at the state and local level to advocate for better animal protection laws. And it is my honor and privilege to be able to work with advocates across the state to improve animal welfare laws in Indiana. And I also work with shelter and rescue organizations. I'm also working with veterinarians, a lot of different groups, law enforcement, to provide trainings available, just to make animal cruelty laws focus, and just, providing resources. We have a lot of great resources available to assist throughout the state. And so I always let people know, if you have a question or an animal issue, just think of me as your point person. I'm happy to help. We have a great team, at the national level that can help us here in the state. And so if there are any questions that come up, I'm always happy to be a resource.
Wonderful. And the Humane Society of Hobart is lucky to have you. And we are so grateful that we've been able to collaborate on a few issues. It sounds like you really are responsible for bringing in all the stakeholders with regards to animal welfare, and not just companion animals, but again, wildlife, farm, and bringing all those stakeholders together is so important.
Absolutely.
Many pet families, as the individual pet families, are also stakeholders, and they can get involved in pet advocacy and advocating for animals, but they oftentimes don't know how to become involved or what the steps are. Can you share with us some steps or avenues in which the average pet family member can get involved in?
Absolutely. So first of all, I just want to thank you and congratulate you for being part of, all the efforts with Humane Society of Hobart. They do such incredible work. And so I think, starting with adopting, fostering, donating, volunteering, those things are a great way, to be involved locally and to, share your experience and enjoy that part as an advocate. Moving maybe one step further, you could share your story with others, sharing your experience about how you've adopted, your furry family member, or, just all the great work that our animal welfare organizations are doing in the state. I think that goes a long way. On the advocacy end, though, in terms of, changing laws and policy for animals, being registered to vote is really incredibly important. That's a really great step that you can take. And the other thing is creating relationships with your state, local, and federal elected officials. Yes. Talking to them about your passion for helping animals and making sure that animals have a voice and a seat at the table is really important. And so, and you can do that in your local communities. It doesn't have to be, necessarily at the federal level. You can start just by talking to, your local councilman or woman and getting involved that way. I also wanted to mention, we do here at the Humane Society of the United States, we have a variety of volunteer options. We have a Facebook page, so I encourage you to like our Facebook page. It's HSUS Indiana, if you're checking that out. We post a lot of really great statewide animal news, stories that you can follow, action alerts that you can take, petitions that you can sign. But then in addition, we have HSUS Ally Opportunity and an HSUS Humane Policy Volunteer position as well. And that really provides you with a lot of information about, what are the hot topics, the big fights that we're fighting in Indiana and throughout the country. And so if you're interested, in getting more involved, you can check out humanesociety.org/volunteer to learn more about those opportunities to advocate for animals.
Nice. I know we didn't touch on this for the question segment, but are there a few big fights that we're fighting now in Indiana that you can mention?
Absolutely, yes. And thanks for asking. So one of our biggest fights here in Indiana is to stop puppy mills. And so, and I can talk a little bit about this a little bit later, but really, we're doing so by ending the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores, sort of by ending that puppy mill pipeline. So we've been doing a lot of work with local communities on that front, which has been, fantastic. You might have seen that the state of Illinois recently passed a law to end the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores. And largely, those animals are coming from inhumane puppy mills. And so that's been a big fight. We've been working with, communities to limit the amount of breeding females that they have, that a person may keep in their county, just to try to limit, again, that inhumane, large scale commercial breeding operation. And then we're also working really hard to end wildlife killing contests here in Indiana. Throughout the fall and winter months, actually, throughout the state, we have many dozen wildlife killing contests as it relates to coyotes and foxes. And really, wildlife killing contests are when animals like coyotes and foxes are killed solely for cash and prizes indiscriminately. And really, it's considered fun and games, and it's not for sustainable hunting or anything like that. They're using AR-15s. Oftentimes, children are brought to these horrible contests, and so we are working with the Department of Natural Resources to propose a regulation that would end wildlife killing contests. We did an undercover investigation this past December at a wildlife killing contest in a small community near Lafayette, Indiana, just showing the public how terrible these contests are. And so we've been working really hard on that fight as well throughout the state.
Wow, that's amazing. We have a lot of work to do, it sounds like. And I know that there are people out there in our jurisdiction that really want to get involved. And our county has recently had some traction in the Humane Pet Ordinance. And as you know, Dyer just recently passed the Humane Pet Ordinance, and there are other counties or other cities in our county ready to follow. And we've been working together, you and I, along with another a group of advocates, to bring that ordinance to Hobart. So it is before the city council right now, and I'm proud to say that we have some really good movement that I can't wait to share with you in the coming days. But how can our regular pet families become involved in this process? And why is it good for residents? Why is ending puppy mills so good, outside of just the fact that it is cruel and inhumane? But there are other really really important issues that affect people as well regarding the sale of puppies.
Absolutely, Jenny. And I just want to say thank you so much for all of your advocacy and just the Hobart City Council for being really interested in taking this issue. I just want to say, first of all, what the ordinance would do. So it would effectively end the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores and move people to more humane sources for obtaining pets. So like many of you who've probably adopted through, local humane societies and animal welfare organizations like Hobart Humane Society, or finding a responsible breeder. We know that responsible breeders will never sell their puppies or kittens to pet stores. And so largely 99% of puppies and kittens sold in pet stores are coming from puppy mills, which again are inhumane, large commercial scale breeding operations where the animal welfare is put below the profit that comes from breeding those animals. So many stores across the country, like Petco and PetSmart, they're already using models where they're sourcing their pets from humane societies and animal welfare organizations where they hold adoption events, and their business models are thriving. It is so exciting to see that the busiest times for these pet stores are during the adoption events.
Yes.
And so really we're wanting to move these pet store models toward a more humane alternative. And, some of the concerns that people might see if they purchase a puppy or a kitten from a pet store that might have come from a puppy mill is, first of all, health conditions. A lot of times we hear complaints from folks who end up purchasing a puppy that ends up getting really sick, and they're incurring a lot of medical bills for this puppy. And then sometimes, unfortunately, even losing the puppy, it passing away after, obtaining that from a pet store. And that's for a couple of reasons, actually, Jenny. So one thing is that, unfortunately, again, with profit being the main concern for these businesses as it relates to selling puppies, veterinary care is not prioritized. And then second of all, when these puppies are picked up from the large scale commercial breeders, they're thrown into a transport vehicle mixed with a bunch of different other types of puppies from other breeders. And so there's a lot of room for sickness on that long journey to these pet stores. So, there's that component. There's also behavioral issues that come along with these dogs that cost consumers more dollars than they might bargain for. And then third of all, a lot of these pet stores, they have exorbitant fees as it relates to financing pets, because as you may know, a lot of these puppies and kittens are sold for thousands of dollars and really appeal to people, just kind of walking in and seeing the cute puppy and purchasing the dog or cat on a whim and not really fully thinking through, if that breed of dog is the right for their family or the best fit. So there's a lot of consumer protection issues also involved with purchasing puppies and kittens and pet stores beyond the really concerning animal welfare component as well. And so for pet families in the Hobart community, passing a humane pet store ordinance would be best for everyone, because not only does it encourage folks to adopt needy animals from wonderful organizations like the Humane Society for Hobart, but also if they really want a specific puppy or kitten, trying to find that responsible breeder who will meet them in person, who will ask them as many questions as they have for the breeder about if that family is the right fit for that pet. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a more humane future for companion animals. And we feel that passing an ordinance like this would be a really great way to do that. To answer your other question, so ways that residents in the Hobart community can get involved. I would say one of the best things that you can do is establish a relationship with your city counselor, and really just having a good rapport, introducing yourself to them, letting them know that you care about animals. I think that is a huge thing that you can do. And then after the ordinance is introduced, I think one of the things you can do is you can make a phone call, you can send an email, and you can post on social media, and you can share this information with others in your network and explain why humane pet store ordinances are such a great way to move communities to more humane sourcing of pets. So I think those are some things that, folks in the Hobart community can consider. And it sounds like there might be more details to share in the coming weeks, which is really incredibly exciting. But I'm just so grateful to be a part of the process, and thank you and the city council for their leadership.
Wonderful. It sounds like these are really amazing issues and amazing campaigns we can all really get behind. And it seems like a real no-brainer. I appreciate you giving us some tips on how to navigate this. Is there a place or space where our regular residents might be able to contact you?
Absolutely. So I am available. Best way to reach me is by email. And so my email address is smorton, like the salt, smorton@humanesociety.org. And I'm happy to reach out, or you're happy to reach out to me on anything, that comes up. I'm, if you're interested in working on a humane pet store ordinance or any other type of ordinance in your community, please let me know. We have a variety of resources, not only as it relates to, humane pet store ordinances, but we work on breed specific legislation ordinances as it relates to trying to explain that, certain types of dogs are not necessarily dangerous. We work on community cat issues. We work on captive wildlife ordinances. So trying to protect animals performing in circuses or other entertainment. So if there's an animal issue in your community that you deeply care about, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. We have a variety of resources that we're happy to share.
Thank you, Sam. We're really lucky to have you in the state of Indiana. Sometimes it's difficult to navigate these tough issues, and we're just so grateful to have you on the team. And thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jenny. And I am so glad just to be a part of the animal welfare community in Indiana. And it's just such a pleasure and a treasure to work with you and your team at Humane Society of Hobart. So thank you for all that you do.
Thanks again for joining us today for the Ask the Expert segment of our show today. Now we're going to get back live for our virtual telethon. Don't forget to donate, adopt, and volunteer. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Have a good day.
You too.